Professor Tomiko, Chairman of the Institute of Public Studies, Chairman of the Institute of Policy Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, good afternoon. As Tommy mentioned earlier, Temasek celebrated its 35th anniversary on 25th of June this year. 5 years ago, when Temasek turned 30 years old, I was privileged to share some thoughts at an IPS lunch like today. Today, I'm privileged to have the opportunity again to provide some perspectives on our journey to build a sustainable institution as we move forward. Temasek is a long-term investor. As I had outlined 5 years ago, this means that we will act to enhance long-term value and will not divest for divestment's sake. We don't intend to raid the larder, nor sell the family jewels for short-term gains. We will jealously guard our interests and will invest, rationalize, consolidate, or divest where it makes sense and where we can achieve sustainable value. Our goal was to build a robust framework to maintain discipline and to deliver value over the long term as a sustainable institution. As one of our founding leaders in Singapore, Mr. S. Rajaratnam, had said in 1966, we must learn to do things today with tomorrow very clearly in our minds. It has been an intense journey. There was no path. We walked to make the path for ourselves. We unfolded and refined our investment strategy in public view, even while we were simultaneously transforming our portfolio and upgrading our core engine of people, systems, and processes. In October of 2004, after my IPS speech, we published our first Temasek review. As an exempt private company, we were not required to do so. Our core purpose was not transparency per se, but really to instill discipline, the professionalism, and the open willingness to be tested and to be measured. Such an annual review would serve more than one purpose. It provides a public marker of our performance, whether good or bad. Today, the market is generally aware that we have had an annual return of about 18% a year since inception. Our year-to-year volatilities are visible. In our Temasek review last year, we reported an annual value at risk of almost 40 billion last March. This meant a 16% probability for our portfolio value to drop more than 40 billion by March this year. Indeed, it turned out to be so, and more. Our Temasek review was also meant to introduce us to our friends and our potential partners, as well as to our portfolio companies, whether in Singapore or elsewhere, and other interested parties and stakeholders in the market. Our first Temasek review marked the beginning of a new phase in Temasek's journey to engage and be engaged with the wider community. Shortly after, we obtained our credit ratings with two leading international credit rating agencies. These have been based on full and confidential disclosures. We have continued to be credit rated ever since. This establishes a public marker of our financial position and our credit risks. Our strategic actions and commercial decisions would be bounded by these clear, bright tripwires or public OB markers. Any move to shift our credit risk stance would require deep and deliberate debate within our board and our senior management. Our credit ratings were followed by an international 10-year US dollar bond in September of 2005. The bond spreads are really a real-time live indicator of our credit risks, much like the role of a singing canary in a coal mine. This was also a deliberate move to create for ourselves a new group of sophisticated stakeholders. As I've just highlighted, we have today established three sets of public markers: our Temasek review, our credit ratings, and our bond spreads. They're like the 18th hole in a long game of golf. This is to help my people remember that there's an 18% sort of historical performance. Our credit ratings were the tripwires or OB markers, and our bond spreads our very own singing canary. They signpost the no-go zones and outline the broad perimeter of our playing field. These are but one strategic facet of our commitment to build not just for this generation, but to lay the foundations for a robust and disciplined institution for the future.